Okay, everyone, great to have you all here for this exciting roundtable discussion with most of the oracles in the Starknet ecosystem, essentially all of them except Chainlink. Maybe we can start by introducing the people that are here with me for this roundtable discussion. Before that, I'll introduce myself. My name is Ohad. I'm a product manager at Starkware for the last 3 years, and over the last year, I had the pleasure of accompanying oracles that work on Starknet, including all of those teams. So yeah, please introduce yourself. This is virtual, so we can't, see who's about to speak. So let's go in the random order it appears in my document, which is Redstone, then Switchboard, then Pragma, then Stork. Martin, do you want to start the introduction? Can you hear me? We can't hear you. Martin, maybe your phone mic is still muted. Okay, maybe let's move to the next one. Switchboard, any introduction? Okay, I think we have some technical problems. Can any speaker actually speak?
Hey, Ohad, can you hear me now?
Yes.
There, now our mics are working.
Oh, wow. Okay. So, yeah, Martin, please go ahead.
Yeah, hey, so it's good to be unmuted. I was wondering if it's Starknet is the host that is blocking, or maybe Elon Musk joined our spaces over here and is making the mess, but we're good now to start. So, hi everyone, my name is Marcin. I'm co founder and COO of Redstone Oracles. I've been in the blockchain space since 2017. I wrote my bachelor's thesis about that technology. I built 2 startups before, both of them failed. As you know, it rarely happens that your first startup is a successful one. I used to be a product manager at Google Cloud here in Warsaw, Poland, because I'm Polish. And yeah, right now we are disrupting the Oracle space with our modular architecture, which core component is to keep data off chain as long as possible to minimize cost, having the same security guarantees and multiple choices when it comes to updates conditions on chain. I can expand more later on, but it's very great to join here. Thanks, Ohad, for invitation.
Yeah, my pleasure. Indeed, the next question would be around the tech itself, but now let's just intro the people that are here. So yeah, next we have the Switchboard representative.
Yeah, awesome. Ohad, great to hear from you again. This is Mitch from Switchboard, by the way. I am CTO of Switchboard. I'm not here with my co-founder Chris as well, and some of the rest of the team. It's funny, like Marcin, I was actually also on Google Cloud for about 4 years, but I was on the San Francisco side. I was a technical lead for App Engine for a number of years. Before that, I got a master's in computer security. Very focused on how to actually bring stable, trustful data to users, and it kind of became natural to work in the blockchain space after that. And our main focus with our Oracle solution is what we call functions, where you can actually define some off-chain code to actually execute on demand to whenever you perform an action, actually bring the data on chain after user actions are executed. And this way, if you're running some financial application, you can actually mitigate pretty much all front-running concerns that you might issue there. And I'll let Chris speak for a second because I know he's a speaker as well.
No, yeah, Chris, one of the co-founders of the Switchboard, and really excited to be here and work with the Starknet community. And great to be joined by an awesome panel of other awesome founders.
Yeah, amazing to have you here. Yeah, next we have Pragma. I'm actually not sure who's from Pragma joining us. They have this impressive logo.
Hi, Ohad. It's Matteo. Hi, everyone. Yeah, thanks a lot for the invitation. Glad to be here. Yeah, I'm just going to maybe introduce myself. So I'm Matteo. I'm the CEO of Pragma. I'm a computer science and embedded systems engineer. I worked a while in the hardware and embedded systems industry before, but quickly stumbled upon crypto. And actually, I work most of my time in crypto, and especially on Starknet. So we've been building on Starknet for more than 2 years now. I'm now a proud Starknet delegate. And yeah, so just to, in a nutshell, Pragma is the first provable oracle. So we leverage most of the Starknet stack in order to have provable computation on top of data. And yeah, thanks a lot for inviting us. And yeah, I'm happy to have this conversation.
Yeah, nice. And last but not least, we have Meredith from Stork Oracles.
Hey, thanks for having us. I'm Meredith, and I'm a co-founder at Stork. Previously, I really built my career working at a series of data companies in the marketing and geospatial space. And then most recently, before Stork, worked at a crypto native trading firm. So I was really excited to kind of bridge these two worlds together with Stork. And then quick intro on Stork. We launched actually in the Starknet ecosystem, so especially excited to participate in this conversation. And we've built out an ultra low latency solution for leveraged protocols. And we're just maniacally focused on providing the lowest latency access to the broadest range of assets possible.
Okay, amazing. So now that everyone introduced themselves, let's actually explore the different exciting Oracle solution that you all offer. So let's do again round in the same order, and if you can, describe like a high-level overview of your solution, and then emphasize what makes this solution unique, right, compared to the other three solutions that are here today, as well as Chainlink. So again, Martin, you go first.
Yeah, thanks, Ohad. Really glad to be in such a noble group about oracles over here. I'm wondering what's our cumulative knowledge about the space, right? So when it comes to Redstone itself, we started working on the oracle in 2021 when our founder, Jacob, who is ex-Open Zeppelin CTO, went to multiple hackathons, and he could never bring his hack to production because of missing data. At that time, it was mainly Chainlink and a couple of others that never had like a widespread adoption. And he started wondering how to make it more scalable when it comes to provisioning of data, because the biggest problem has been always the gas cost and like business justification of delivering more frequent updates, right? Like people many times say, hey, I want more frequent updates, or I want more diverse data, or can you provide that data? Usually the answer is yes, it's technically feasible, but can you make a business model out of it considering the cost of updates? So with Redstone, our first principle is to keep data off-chain as long as possible, as I mentioned before. For that reason, we created an off-chain component that is called Redstone Data Access Layer, where data providers should sign data packages in this layer, these data packages are present and ready for being fetched or broadcasted, depending on the dApp's needs. And we have free consumption models to use these data via dApps on, for example, Starknet. One of them, the original, is called Redstone Core, or some people call it a pool model, where the dApp itself, when needing a data, sends the data together with users' transaction on destination chain, and then the data is unpacked and used for whatever reason, like liquidation or creating of the position. In that flow, we omit the on-chain storage only up to the point when it's really necessary to perform an on-chain action. The second model is called Redstone Classic, which is many times referred as a push model, so on-chain storage, where we create a bot, like a relayer, that periodically updates data on-chain on a smart contract. So it's a similar model like Chainlink. It also has the same interface for developers to easily implement in their solutions. However, in this model, we again have to be careful about the gas storage cost. And the third model, which is not live yet, the two first ones I mentioned are already production ready and used on mainnets. The last is called Redstone X, which is a model that protects users from front running, which is a big problem, especially in perpetual solutions like perpetual DEXs. In short, in that model, you first register the intention to execute the transaction in one block and execute it only in the very next block, so that no party has time to front run the transaction itself. So this is us in a nutshell. And in regards to Starknet, the model I described works out of the box on every EVM layer 1 and layer 2. But Starknet is the very first non-EVM that we decided to expand to because it aligns very well with our ethos of building on top of Ethereum in general, and also optimizing the cost and creating an environment that is very developer friendly. So we're very keen to do this first brave step to also enter this ecosystem. So yeah, this is Redstone in a nutshell.
Yeah, thank you. It's also great for us to work with you. So next, Mitch, Chris, can you give some info to Switchboard and what makes it unique in the ecosystem?
Yeah. So we started Switchboard with the idea that permissionless finance needs permissionless data, and that any user should be able to permissionlessly create and provision data feeds for anything, so that they can use in their application. And the genesis of this was actually we had originally wanted to do a prediction market, but had difficulties, finding the right Oracle solution for this in an efficient way. So we built Switchboard to really solve that issue originally on the Solana ecosystem, but now we've expanded to a number of different ecosystems, including Starknet. Switchboard itself, we offer a few different services as part of that. One of them is a push-based Oracle, which, like Marcin was describing, is what people are generally most familiar with on the Oracle side. But we also offer an on-demand Oracle via functions. And really what that lets you do is take any data point, whether on-chain from another blockchain or off-chain from any API, public or private, run a calculation on it, and bring it on-chain for your application exactly when you need it. And that's a really powerful solution that allows for really derivatives on anything, but things that we're not even thinking about, applications on the GameFi side, applications on the NFT side, applications with real-world assets. The list goes on and on and on. On top of that, we also offer a VRF, which allows provably fair randomness. And we're also working on a secrets module to make it really easy to access confidential data and securely use that in your application on-chain. We're currently live on Cairo 0, but we're rebuilding everything on Cairo 1.0, which should be ready in a few weeks for folks to use. And that'll include the full suite of services that we just described.
Nice. Yeah, we'll touch later, your experience with Starknet and why did you choose it, and Cairo 1 in particular. But now, Matteo, can you introduce us to Pragma?
Sure. Yeah, so I think the best way to introduce Pragma is maybe to start from the beginning and why we started to work on oracles, why we started to build Pragma. Basically, my co-founder Matthias was working at Maker on Starknet. He was basically bridging DAI onto Starknet. And when Maker wanted to choose an oracle on Starknet, we started to think about the different solutions that we have right now. And basically, there's this sentence from a philosopher that I really liked. So Thomas Reid, that was writing, a chain is only as strong as its weakest link. And today, think about oracles and blockchains in general. So we're really focused on Ethereum, on Starknet. And basically, when you're running your logic and your decentralized application on Ethereum, you're relying on thousands of computers that are running and verifying your logic. And then you just plug onto that an oracle that is just not as secure as the best layer. And just it didn't make sense to us to have all this logic running on the most decentralized network. But at the end, you get like data from a multi-sig pretty much. And so that's why we started to build Pragma, because now we have new tools, right? We have validity proofs, thanks to all the teams working on validity rollups, thanks to you guys at Starkware. And so we can build better models that enables us to have data that is more secure. And so we started from this and say how we can build something that is just more secure and it makes more sense for blockchains. And so basically that's how we started. And so Pragma is a provable oracle, right? So you have data from market makers, from public APIs that is signed and published on chain. Then you have the aggregation on chain, and the main fact is that it's done in Cairo, and so it's proven. And so you get the aggregation that is proven, and so you have no trust assumptions on all the computation that you perform on raw data. And so I think that's like the main difference we have with other oracles. And so that's how we approach things. Just to give you an overview about Pragma. So we're live on mainnet on Starknet for more than a year now, powering all the big applications on Starknet. So and Carmine, Nostra. And so that's a little bit about us. We're pretty focused around financial data. So everything from prices of assets to more complex types of data that requires a lot of computation, such as realized volatility, implied volatility, and that type of things. So that's a pretty good description of Pragma.
Wow, really interesting to see the diversity and how each of you is focusing on another front, and we'll touch more about it shortly. But Meredith, can you please also tell us about Stork and your uniqueness in the space?
Of course. So I think also it would be helpful to maybe start with a bit of context. So I mentioned earlier that we're super focused on speed. And really, I would maybe take a step back and say our overarching goal is to provide DeFi with the tools necessary to compete with centralized finance, especially when it comes to user experience and risk management. From our perspective, we think protocols need incredibly high veracity feeds and low latency feeds in order to manage things such as liquidations and funding rates. So when we first launched, we actually built on StarkX, which is incredibly fast. And what that allowed us to do from day one was prioritize performance. And that really influenced our architecture going forward. So Stork is powered by a decentralized network of data publishers. And our price updates are signed in a way that are compatible with signature verification on EVM, Stark, and Move chains using ultra-fast WebSockets to ensure data is available at the millisecond level, similar to type of data that is used in trading for TradFi. Because our architecture and delivery isn't dependent on any given blockchain, it has allowed us to maintain this low latency. And it's worth noting that because we started building for derivatives exchanges, we've also built out specialized feeds that are use case driven. This offering includes price feeds that can be compatible with any chain, and focusing primarily on settlements, liquidations, funding rates, as I previously mentioned. And then some examples of what that can look like are mark prices, TWAPs, benchmarks, and we're also working on some feeds for options protocols now.
Nice. Yeah, so I think that it's amazing to see how each of you highlight the different things, right? Like Redstone talked about keeping prices off-chain as long as possible. Switchboard talks about the diversity and customizability of feeds. Pragma discussed the computational intensity, right? Meredith described basically that they are somewhat blockchain agnostic. So, you know, there is no one size fits all, and everyone, I think, focuses on slightly another use case or another model. So I think good follow-up questions is, can you take what makes you unique and explain why you are the best suitcase for like some use case that you have in mind? Basically, which use case you expect to find you particularly attractive? Again, Marcin, we start with you.
Just to check if I understood correctly the question, it's about which apps would find Redstone the most appealing, right?
Yeah, exactly. Like, when you designed Redstone, basically, which applications you had in mind? Which applications should find your model the most attractive, in your opinion?
Oh, yeah, sure. So I would say when we were designing Redstone, our first idea was to diminish the costs, which would impact like the overall capabilities of delivering the feeds, right? Because in our view, the problem is not that the data is not available or there are no sources or number of other reasons that people many times maybe claim. In our view, it's a lot about keeping the security with lowering the costs with the magnitudes, right? So speaking about specific use cases that we envision would fit the best with Redstone, these are usually like DeFi applications. So the core model, like the one that we started with, works fantastic with new types of DeFi applications like under collateralized lending, leverage protocols, perpetuals, options. So I would say anything that requires high frequency and also maybe not 100 types of data, but let's say a few that give a lot of leverage. To give you an example, in beginning of 23, we had an explosion, I would call it, of GMX and the GMX forks. One of the feeds that we are one of the first oracles to provide, if not the first one, was GLP price feed. And our users admired that a lot because they could create unique DeFi strategies on top of GLP, which was very much in demand. Right now, we are very close with GMX about their V2 and their GM tokens that are going to be similar to GLP as it is for V1. So to double phrase, we see the biggest demand for Redstone in DeFi protocols that want to make a difference and make something innovative and novel going into the future, right? So I would sum it up like this.
Nice. And really interesting. Chris, Mitch, which use case you think would find a Switchboard the most attractive?
Yeah, definitely. So I think you kind of drove the point home with the customizability that Switchboard actually offers. We have the few different models of the push model where you actually define your own data feed, you define the sources, and you define the update thresholds that you actually want for your feed. So if you need different latency parameters, you can completely schedule that. With the new release that we're building now with Switchboard functions, we actually offer a callback model. So all user action is taken before the data lands. And it's actually as small as possible latency because right when it's requested, we trigger the oracles to wake up and deliver the response to your dApp as possible. And because all user action is executed before the oracle lands, you eliminate all the front running issues that you've seen in DeFi historically. With that, Switchboard actually goes beyond just scheduling data feeds. You can freeform program anything you want into a Switchboard function. So you can schedule data feed updates, or you can schedule any type of transaction you need for your dApp on a, let's say, 5-second or 30-second cadence, whatever you might need. So if you ever need a cranking system, Switchboard can actually automate all that as well. So it's really all-in-one tooling for all the things you really need for your dApp. Say in a prediction market, you need to get a score of a football game settled right when it's finished. You can schedule something in your Switchboard function to pull that price right when the game is done and make sure that it executes correctly and resolves the market by the time you actually execute. If you want to actually incorporate a risk engine into your data feed so you don't have to do any safety precautions on the contract side, you can do that with a Switchboard function. It's all built into the Oracle that you create for yourself. Everything on Switchboard is user owned or I should say dApp owned. So as long as you keep your function funded, it will keep running and executing with any type of risk parameters you've put into that function. And the best thing about it is everything on Switchboard is actually verifiable. We have a whole TEE attestation primitive that we built for blockchains. So everything that we do in functions we actually prove on chain was done inside of TEE with the exact measurement that was loaded in the first place. Beyond that, I will let Chris run through anything that I might have missed, and I'll take a pause there.
No, Mitch covered most of it, but we're really actually most excited for the things that people will be building in the future. There's a lot of really cool things that people have built with DeFi so far, but we really think, the imagination space goes beyond just DeFi and into a lot more. And even within DeFi, I think we're just scratching the surface on what's possible with things like functions.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely exciting to see all the things that people start to do on DeFi. And actually, this is like a hint for my next question. But before that, Matteo, what use cases would find Pragma the most attractive, in your opinion?
Yeah, that's a good question. I'd say right now we're really focused and so on all financial use cases because mainly we're on Starknet, we're native on Starknet, and there's a lot of excitement about all the computation that you have on Starknet, and that brings new design space for DeFi applications. And so we can already see that in production on mainnet. But yeah, so I'd say mainly DeFi. If you want to, we are like the core thing that is really good on Pragma is computation, right? We are leveraging Stark proofs, and so thanks to succinctness, you can just run complex algorithms on top of raw data, and those algorithms just don't introduce any trust assumptions because they're proven. And so basically what you can do is a lot of computation on top of raw data. So everything around volatility, risk frameworks. So if you want to run models on risk, if you want to have yield curves, implied volatilities, run parametrizations, basically you can do all that in a provable way. And I think that's what's more exciting for us right now. And so that's what we've been working on with the protocols on Starknet. But personally, I'm really excited, especially on Starknet, with all the gaming, especially with Dojo and the incredible teams of Cartridge and Brick that are building on Dojo. And I think that a lot of the block space will be used by games. And that's also something that we're keeping a close eye on. And all of this enabled and improved by all the features that you have on Starknet. So the scalability, but also the UX with account abstraction. And so, yeah, I'd say that. So right now it's mainly focused on DeFi, but our goal is really to grow with Starknet and just push the boundaries here in order to just achieve more on Starknet.
Yeah, nice. Meredith, which use cases would find Stork the most attractive?
Yeah, absolutely. So to date, perpetual swaps are definitely our sweet spot. We actually, the first version of our product, we launched with Apex Pro, and since then we've been just very focused on building out the right feeds for decentralized perps. And what does that look like? That includes mark prices for liquidations, TWAPs for funding fee calculations. We've actually built out the ability to pull in data from the decentralized exchanges to help them with decentralizing their funding rate calculations, but not having to do it on chain where it can be incredibly expensive. And we're just continuing to kind of partner with these various exchanges to build out the right feeds for them. Because we do think that as they become more competitive with CeFi, they're going to have more nuanced requirements around how do they handle liquidations, how can they standardize that and make it more transparent to their traders so that they can have more expected outcomes. Also, we're starting to, though, expand out into new use cases as well. So I mentioned that we are building some feeds for options protocols. We're really excited about branching out into that ecosystem as well. And then I think just more generally to mimic what most folks have said today, we're very excited about just what's to come. And I think the architecture that we've built out makes it pretty flexible and easy for us to support new types of feeds for any use case, whether that be in DeFi or potentially outside of DeFi as well in the future.
Yeah, so let's indeed start to move our gaze forward towards the future and what it entails. So, if you can just tell to our listeners, first of all, what is your current status, right? Are you on testnet? Are you on mainnet? And then what's in store for the future from your perspective, and in particular, if there are any features, future ones or current ones that you say, okay, thanks to Starknet, higher throughput now with 0.12 or lower costs, so like now and more so even with 0.13 or account abstraction or anything else, that basically paves the way for you to offer features that might not fit like Ethereum or less scalable places. As always, Martin, we start with you.
Yeah, so I would say that demand for Redstone from DeFi applications in 2023 exceeded our expectations, which I'm very proud of. For us, the inflection point, I believe, was ETH Denver, when that was the first conference when people were chasing me to get a meeting rather than I was chasing people to get a meeting, which is really interesting dynamics. Since the beginning of the year, we had a couple of mainnet launches on multiple chains, started securing millions of dollars on mainnets, and also enhanced the performance of our infrastructure. So we are very proud of that. Speaking specifically about Starknet, this was the first non-EVM integration for us that we finished for Cairo 0 in February. We announced that at Starknet sessions over there in Tel Aviv, met the whole ecosystem. By the way, kudos on creating such a huge conference in Tel Aviv during the bear market. Very impressive. I cannot imagine what would have happened there if we had been in the bull market. Now, as it's Cairo 1, I believe DeFi projects first have to prepare like their versions and also prepare their expectations towards oracles. Hence, we give a bit of space to the developers to breathe and create their ideas. We are in close touch with biggest protocols building on top of Starknet. But majority of the times recently we got the feedback that, hey guys, like first we have to figure out how to do this and this, then we will be able to tell you what specifically we need. So I would say we keep our hand on the pulse regarding Cairo 1 and the requirements, but being just transparent right now, Redstone is not ready to be used on mainnet on Cairo 1. However, when the need arises and we have a specific client asking for feeds, we are happy to swiftly launch on mainnet with all the risk tools and monitoring. Having said that, I'm looking forward to meeting the whole ecosystem people at Starknet CC in Paris. This is going to be a big conference for us. We are happy to gather all the feedback, all the learnings that people have, and all the requirements going towards further down the year. And just look out for specific integrations because with the ecosystem projects.
Yeah, thanks. Indeed, I think the Starknet EC and ETC in Paris would be quite huge. Yeah, Mitch, Chris, you're next. What is your status and what's your roadmap and maybe Starknet specific features you plan to have?
Yeah, so we're currently rewriting everything in Cairo 1.0 and finishing up the implementation for Switchboard v3 there. Our goal is to have feature parity on every chain, including on Starknet. It's probably a few weeks away, but we're really excited to meet with a lot of folks at Starknet CC and really get to know more of the community as part of that. I'd also just say that we're also incredibly excited about Starknet L3s and what things will be built there. I know that it's still relatively early, but I think it's going to be a big opportunity for design space around different applications that people can build. And we want to make sure that we can provide, and Switchboard will be accessible on Starknet L3s as well.
Yeah. I mean, I think it's exciting to see the Starknet L2 ramping up with, the just being better overall, this throughput and prices and all of that over the next few months, and then see the L3 ecosystem boom is the next natural step. Which brings us actually to Matteo and Pragma and your vision and roadmap and Starknet. Like for you, it's not Starknet specific features because all of your Oracle is Starknet specific. But still, what things in Starknet you find captivating to leverage on for your features?
Sure. So right now we are live on testnet and mainnet. So we're live with on mainnet all the applications. So zkland, Carmine, as I said before, Nostra as well, and really excited to see what's going to go live in the next few months because there's this big update with Starknet 0.12, and everyone is really excited to see how applications are going to leverage this. Especially with all the scalability that we're going to see. And I think that's also a turning point for the ecosystem. So really excited to see the application that were in stealth and are going to go live with all of this. In terms of version of Cairo, so the version right now on testnet is in Cairo 0 audited. So the version in Cairo 1 will take a little more time since there's a new update, like not Cairo 2, but there's this new syntax update. And so there's still a little of waiting on that end, but you can still use the Cairo 1 contracts. You can always interact with those contracts. So if you're building applications, you can already get data delivered with Pragma. In terms of roadmap, I'd say so. Completing the transition to Cairo 1, and really excited for the Oracle, but also for the apps about Volition. I think it's going to come, not sure exactly about the roadmap, you can correct me, Ohad, but end of this year maybe. Not sure exactly when. It's like the 0.30, right?
0.13 currently planned for Q3 with Volition.
Okay, so
probably I think more towards the end of Q3.
Yeah, let's see how it goes. But I think that's one of the most exciting updates, especially for us as Oracle, that we have a lot of data to publish on chain, and we'll see how the apps are going to leverage this. But I think that's one of the most exciting updates of Starknet. So yeah, that's pretty much everything for the future.
Yeah, thanks. Meredith, what's your roadmap and plans for the future?
Yeah, I'm going to echo a lot of what we already heard. So actually, everything that's coming with Volition is a big motivating factor or reason why we started Stork. We felt that it was going to create massive room for improvement with what Stork Oracle capabilities could be in terms of creating larger data catalogs and increasing frequency of updates. So we're really excited about that and being able to have more applications leverage the catalog that we're creating. In terms of roadmap items, right now we have instantaneous updates that are triggered by price movements. Typically that's done about every 10 basis points or 5 seconds. And that said, it's configurable on our end. And as Starknet's able to support sub-second transactions with lower fees, we're really excited to basically increase that threshold and get faster updates to protocols. In terms of where we're at with testnet or mainnet, our price feeds are fully compatible with Starknet, but we've yet to deploy our verifier contract on mainnet. So that's coming soon. We don't have a date yet, but we'll be announcing it soon.
Okay, yeah, thanks. I think I want to leave a few minutes to questions from the crowd. I think we've had a variety of very interesting and in some cases also very different approaches for this complex problem of building an Oracle. So if you have any question about to any of those amazing speakers, or maybe to all of them combined, now is the time to ask. Let's wait 5 more seconds to see if we have any questions from the crowd. Okay, so I think we can conclude here. Thank you for everyone for participating. I really excited to see what we'll build together in the network level and in the Oracle's level. And let's continue to build an awesome ecosystem together.
Yeah, thanks a lot, Ohad. That was a huge pleasure to join.
Yeah, great chatting, Ohad. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, and thanks for everybody else joining. Marcin, Meredith, Pragma, Evolve, everybody else. Great panel.
Yeah. Thanks a lot, guys. Bye-bye.